未来洗联储还有 HDO 洗币会别人抢着来成为国家流通的货币。接下来被国家认可、主权认可、主权流通，甚至大的这些招收地控制的金融集团流通，它是一定会发生的。
Good morning and good afternoon from Australia. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Crypto News Talk for the latest news and updates in the world of cryptocurrencies and digital currencies. My name is Bindi, and my co-host is Jessie. So I want to pass my time over to Jessie to start today's session.
Hey everyone. So we are going to talk about Three Arrows Capital today. To start off with, we will call it, of course, it's called 3AC. Now, 3AC started with a tweet from the CEO of 3AC early in June, and Mr. Zhu Shu, the co-founder, actually tweeted a very strange or rather strange message that says the firm is in the process of communicating with all relevant stakeholders, meaning I owe you money, you're my stakeholder, dedicating to find a solution. And can we have the first slide, please? Yep. So Three Arrow files for Chapter 15 bankruptcy. That was much earlier on last week, July the 2nd. And the next slide, please. As you can see, the Three Arrow is actually really a crypto hedge fund, right? Meaning they gamble like us. Founded by former Credit Suisse trader Zhu Shu and Carl Davis. They manage an estimated $10 billion of assets. Question, what's assets, right? Now, according to Bloomberg, that's according to Bloomberg. Now, the British Virgin Islands court ordered the liquidation of Three Arrows Capital. And we do want to talk a little bit about that because Three Arrows, 3ACs came under intense pressure to meet a deadline call, all right, to return about $670 million in loans or face default, which is why I thought, managing an estimated $10 billion of assets, 670 million, maybe it's not too bad, it's like 6%, right? So that's where it comes in when the valuation is based on assets that fluctuates. Because most of their assets are based upon BTC, which is essentially which is Bitcoin. So the companies start freezing withdrawals, starts freezing trading and deposits actually. So Alameda Ventures was the white knight, he was supposed to be the white knight, but he was not to be. They came in and they said, all right, we'll give 3AC a $500 million credit facilities. Which did not eventuate. But I do want to point out one thing, actually. The backroom ops of these companies, that is crypto hedge fund companies, they leverage, right? It's called leveraging. We all know what leveraging is. They're used by company to extract values from valuable assets. Key point, valuable assets. Define valuable assets, number one. Now, number two, when these assets falls in value, then therefore, it's like our trading, right? Which what happened is crypto market tumble about 60 to 70%. And what we have then is margin calls. You have people, your creditors calling up and say, hey, you know what, dude, it's time to pay me. So what we have is a case where when the tide recedes, all right, all the over leveraged companies are exposed. And I do want to, before I pass to Bindi, I do want to say, the failure to fulfill the decline because of the decline in cryptocurrency values. And that's one of the mainstay of what we are going to talk about today. Bindi, your turn.
Okay, I want to just give you a sense about what it means when when a hedge fund is filing for bankruptcy. So you have a company such as Genesis, which is one of the largest crypto brokerages for institutional investors. They have exposure in Three Arrows. So the fuller extent of the impact of Three Arrows on the industry is starting to emerge as more crypto lenders and brokers disclose exposure to the fund. So as far as Genesis is concerned, we know that their leverage is 80%, meaning based on the value, how they value 3 arrows, Three Arrows can borrow up to 80% of the value. So 80% then is probably, I don't know, maybe 50% now, or lesser, much lesser. So all these lenders, whatever they have on hand, are worth very little compared to what they have lent to 3 Arrows. Another interesting thing, which I want to quickly point out before our time runs out, is the CEO, founder, CIO of 3 Arrows, Zhu Su. He's only 35 years old. 35 years old. He's only had two jobs before, and he has gone from China. 6 years old, he went to the States, and then he became a Singaporean in 2016. I actually asked Jesse whether this is common for somebody who has been in the States to become a Singaporean. So of course he's reserved his comments not to be revealed on the air, perhaps in the next program. And Zhu Su is a very wealthy man. He is a billionaire, or was a billionaire, and he has started disposing his assets in his mansions, his real estate in Singapore, and there are a few of them. So we don't want to take up too much time on this person, but watch this space. Probably in the future, Himalaya Australia will probably do a segment on digging this Zhu Su. So we move on to the next topic. So next up, we are going to talk about the huge losses to the tune of $1 trillion. So over to you. So there are huge losses to the tune of $1 trillion in a month caused by investing in cryptocurrencies have attracted the attention of governments of various countries. So it has become a concern, and the formulation of regulations on cryptocurrencies has become the direction of the future. The European Union takes the lead in launching regulations on cryptocurrency market. Now, according to the Washington Post, Europe has moved to lead the world in regulating cryptocurrency industry. A provisional agreement on crypto regulations for the bloc's 27 nations, known as Markets in Crypto Assets, or MICA. And it is believed that in the crypto world, MICA will become the global standard. Jesse, do you have any comments on this particular clip of news? Your mic is
Yep,
off.
thanks. So in terms of the EU regulations, the key takeout that we do know is the onus is on the provider to provider space. That is not peer-to-peer at this juncture, even though we believe that the regulation will start to flow through and cascade down to the P2P, which is a peer-to-peer regulation space. But that's further down the track. We'll cover that another day. But then this is really clever because it is a provider, right? The regulation is a provider. So the provider do have to satisfy the requirements. Now, this is a very clever way of rounding up the ships. Instead of going to the individuals, they say, oh, no. Now, you, the provider, you are supposed, if you fail that, you are supposed to tell me in terms of the KYC, the strict KYC there is, which, our HCM, we do that. And it took me 2.5 weeks for me to clear the KYC, and that sets, and then they set a parameter, all right, and then providers have to adhere to that. But what this is really telling us is, we all of us know this. Governments rely on taxation as their main form of revenue. So this regulation is a forecast of the importance of taxation to come in terms of the digital space, digital currency space, and the control, of course. It is about regulating unhosted wallets. Unhosted wallets meaning I need to know the origin of the funds, and I need to know where these funds are flowing to. So essentially, they're controlling the flow again, right? And we will come back to this part again later at the last segment of our show, which is really, really important. But then the question becomes, what really keeps people like the national security agencies or intelligence officers awake at night? And one of which is quantum computing, AI, autonomous vehicles, and then, of course, biotech. All this we are going to cover in the last segment. Over to you, Bindi.
Okay, as far as regulations is concerned, we know that Mount Square has always talked about regulators coming in as soon as the regulators come in to tame the wild west of cryptocurrencies, and his prediction is that Bitcoin will be gone. So we're going to have a revisit to his video later on. I'm just going to turn over to the third topic to Eric.
是付款条码，对准我们的扫码镜头进行扫码支付。
央行数位货币尚未上路，但试验情境抢先曝光。无论去超商、搭计程车，又或是逛街，都能使用。更重要的是，比起现有数位支付工具，更加安全，无使用成本。
CBDC 的选项由央行提供安全、受信任、无使用成本且无信用或流动性风险的数位支付工具，为避免影响银行金融中介的功能 ，CBDC 呢可选择无息的设计。
总裁杨金龙强调，数位货币没有信用或流动性风险。为了避免银行存款流失冲击传统银行，未来 CBDC 交易量与持有总额也会设立上限。放眼国际，包含中国、欧洲等各国持续往数位货币迈进。萨尔瓦多更成为首例将加密货币列为国家法定货币却宣告失败的国家。这里总裁杨金龙也坦言，虚拟货币投机风险真的很高。
比特币呢，它是一个价格波动非常大的一个金融商品对于投资者来讲，他必须要注意人为炒作工具居多。
All right. So we have someone jumping the gun. It seems that there is a race that's going on now to be the financial center for digital currencies of the world. You know, the likes of the Londons, the Amsterdams, the New York, the Hong Kong, the Singapore, and the Tokyos of the world. And to me, that really is not really a digital currency, but it's a good one. It's a good one. It's an adjunct to fiat currency, literally, because they're still using the QR codes. I'm not throwing stones. It is good because this tells us, and this brings us back to history on online trading. Before the advent of online trading and after online trading become widespread, we saw a leap in participation rate. We saw that it became frictionless, more frictionless there is, and we see stock market starting to jump because retail investors like ourselves, we can actually directly participate in the stock market, and that's where I see. But I do want to make two statements. One, for the crypto world that we are in now, what they are trying to do, there are essentially two I would say headwinds. One is the headwinds. All right, the headwinds is regulations and technology that's stopping the adoption, and the other one, very strong tailwinds, all right, is regulation and technology. And you go like, Jesse, what are you talking? This double Dutch talk. What are you talking about? Both are the same. Exactly, because if you're prescient or you have predictive and prescriptive model, AI model, therefore you can be at the curve, so you can be at the head of the curve of the market. And we'll touch on that very, very soon. But good try, Taiwan. Good try. Over to you, Bindi.
I feel that the success of digital currency issued by central bank, just in case anybody were to wonder what is this CBDC that you are going to hear a lot about from now onwards. CBDC just means central bank digital currencies. Central bank digital currencies or digital CBDC, the extent of the popularity of it will all depend on the population's faith in the government, I feel. Because there have been so much talk about how the government, as we have seen during the pandemic, how various countries have instructed their banks to freeze the accounts of protesters, the truckies. We have seen it in Canada. We have seen it elsewhere, even in Australia too. We have seen certain protesters, high-profile protesters, bank account being not frozen, being closed, and these are people who have been with the bank or with the financial institution for decades. So when with that paving the way, how much faith do people have on their government when it comes to the use of CBDC? I suspect there'll be always a pocket of people who will not take up CBDC. The question then is, the rest of is the government going to allow the fiat currency to coexist with CBDC? Maybe, most likely. And according to Malscore, he thinks the two will be concurrent, probably maybe 20% fiat currency, 80% CBDC, because a lot of people, they don't care about their freedom. They don't care about, they only want to have convenience. That's the reason why they roll up the sleeves and get jabbed. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, see, you're spot on something. What's the roles of banks? Because the current financial system, and we know commerce makes the world, trade or commerce makes the world goes round. Yeah, is what really, I grow, I sell to you, you sell, you grow, you sell to me, etc. Now, what's the degree of the intermediaries? The intermediaries at this current juncture are the banks. I want to send money to you. Yes, we have the wire through SWIFT as a messaging system or a payment processor to send it to you, isn't it? So what's the role of the banks in this Taiwan model? He did say in the program that they will still retain the role. So essentially, it's just a morphing to prepare the public that, hey, whether you like it or not, CBDC is coming surely. CBDC is surely coming. Just go digital currency, central bank digital currency is surely on its way, whether you like it or not. And that's why the next segment will be very prescient on what Mr. Malscore has said on the technology bit, because remember, it's like fax machine. Fax machine took about 50 years. I have fax machine, you don't have fax machine, I can't send to you anything, But once you have a fax machine, the network effect starts to form and the adoption rate starts to go up. Telephone took about 100 years for everyone to have a telephone. But then smartphone only took us 3 years. So with the advent of technology like Moore's law, every 18 months, quantum leaps a fold. So what's going to happen to cryptos? What's going to happen to digital currencies? Producer, please play the next 3 videos.
大家你看到这个美国就批了个 ETF， 就是虚拟货币的 ETF 交易平台，比特币就涨到了6万多，比特币涨到10万跟玩似的，但是最可怕的就是美国说的是非法，完了归零，这是最重要的，否则它涨到100万都是有可能的。不管如何，人类到了一个最重要的时刻，所有的金融经济从过去的以美元以纸币一球独大的世界。 肯定也不会延续下去，一定不会的。世界任何国家都明白，最起码超过170个国家都明白，没人挡得住虚拟货币时代的到来，加密货币。但是这些国家只有一招了，既然我挡不住我就加紧监管所以说，被加紧监管的加密货币技术性和合法性将成为人类上未来一段时间最重要的。 各国都会发展自己的加密货币但生物电脑就跟神同级别的，严格讲就找到了神的密码。DNA 这个电脑就找到了储存方式，就找到了与神沟通的方式，而量子电脑是把这2样东西加速前进的，它不是最终极的。量子电脑是让你找到所有的 DNA 的储存方式和未来的生物电脑的最好的工具。一个这个工具的发现，就足以让整个网络界彻底改变了。 你再想想，未来的比特币、数字货币，在量子电脑前连个鸟都不是。所有的现在加密货币在量子电脑上，嘣就成我的了。我用11秒钟就能创造出1000万个比特币，就把代码给你写完了。你还有比特币吗？怎么可能？
Okay, we have seen that Malscore's prediction of cryptocurrency apocalypse last year has already come to pass. It's a very, very sad time. Malscore has mentioned many people. Just in the last plunge of BTC, over 100 people that he knows of have plunged to their death, literally plunged to their death. So in the future, Malscore is talking about quantum computers and biocomputers, which will have a revolutionary impact on the various cryptocurrencies. And when quantum computers come to the scene, Bitcoin, which is based on and first generation blockchain, is just going to go into oblivions. And when I explained this to a friend who is very, very much into BTC, and she said, in your lifetime, you want to collect 10 BTC. You want to collect 10 BTC, so they can live in a house that you want to live in Sydney. So people who pin their hope on BTC value, Bitcoin value, going to six figures, we are not only talking about 100,000, okay? But she was talking about $1 million. So people who pin their hope on BTC going beyond 6 figures, I think they are going to be terribly disappointed. And those people who have invested in BTC or other cryptocurrencies, on margin, a lot of them are no longer with us in this world. Over to you, Jesse.
Yep. Okay. All right. So to start this, I do have to bring you to a very special place and a very special year. It's 1869. So on the slopes of Medoc, in the Bordeaux region, 1869 produced one of the best and most expensive vintage wine. And why is that important? Because a lot of what Mr. Mousequa's comment is, it aged really well over time. And we know for facts or for truth to withstand you have to withstand the test of time, even if there's a shape shifting because of different variables. He is at the forefront in a lot of what he has already told us. Is a lot of paradigm shift, right? Because of his Now, to me, he's predictive and prescriptive. He doesn't only predict, he's prescribed for you what actions you should take. Is digital currency, because at the back of your brain, the biggest pink elephant in the room now is digital currency, or can digital currency be a safe haven asset or even be an asset? So that's the question that begets a lot of answering. But having said that, let's go to video one. Video one, he says, all right, this is his word in the timeline, the price of BTC. Now, the underlying fundamentals are already there. We know that, the user adoption and whatever. But very loaded, because he says the price can go up and down, which seems to insinuate that there might be manipulation involved. And when manipulation is involved, we as retail investors, when we run for the exits, we will be the last one at the back of the room. We won't be fast enough with quant computing and the trading. That's why, he mentioned, and he did mention, if the US says it's illegal, US seems to still have the clout. There's a lot to his statements. US seems to still have the clout to define and the legitimacy of BTC, or for the matter, any digital currencies. All right. And US, in my opinion also, US remains the kingmaker, the market maker, because US is still the world's largest capital market. Now, in the video number 2, that is the power, the epitome of power of, that's the power of information asymmetry. You have the power, you have the info, I don't have. Therefore, you are ahead in the market. So a lot of what he has is based on intel. We know that. Yep. So the hegemony, and there's a loaded statement actually. We had this in another topic of ours, the hegemony of USD. So he actually said he cast serious doubt. USD in its current form cannot maintain the hegemony because of the onslaught of you could call it a social norm, or rather the technology that's going to wreak havoc in the digital space. So gone are the heydays, isn't it, Bindi? That the USD as a fiat, as a global reserve currencies. I think that's gone. Now there's another poignant, there's another poignant statement, and I'm conscious of the time also. Another poignant statement is he says at least 170 countries knows the inevitability of digital currency as a mainstay. 170. So we are about what, 120 something countries? That's like almost like 3/4, 80% of the world, right? That has accepted already that digital currencies will become a mainstay, which means what is going to drive this market? Adoption rates meaning technology. That's why you say DNA computers, quantum computing. So you can see, our dear viewers, all the above 3 articles topics that we spoke about, Mr. Mousequaw has already very succinctly and clearly see where the trending is going. This is a mega trend. whether you like it or not. You can position yourself or you can be left behind. You can wait for the boat to leave, and then hopefully another boat will arrive. So I'm not you can be sanguine about the state of the world, but we know surely that a new financial system is already in the throes. A lot of countries are watching this space and they are making plans to create the infrastructure, to create the regulations, so that to avoid beyond just 3AC, you have Voyager Venture Fund that's in the crypto space also. They are filed for Chapter 11 also. All right. So that aside, what he's telling us, in my view, what he's telling us is on the money call, he has on multiple occasions, although he can be seen as recklessly flamboyant, but he has been right on the call, right on the money. So it behooves us to spend a little bit more time, listening to what he really has to say. Bindi, what do you think?
It is a trend, like we said, that US, as far as USD hegemony, fiat may be the one that is going to be overtaken, but because you have the people behind the Federal Reserve, they are not going to let go of their right to mint money. So they're just going to come back in a different form, continue to mint money and continue to be the one issuing currencies. So as much as I don't like CBDC, in the crypto space, you have the option. You have the option, and this is what Maltzko has alluded to as well, that you can choose, and central banks, they have lost control over or the monopoly over the right to mint money. This is where Himalaya Exchange as well as Getter say crypto comes in. We don't know what it's going to be called. We call it lying flat coin, which is a very crude way of saying describing a crypto. But the idea is, I think I may not like CBDC, but I definitely will go for another digital currency which is not controlled by my government, so that people cannot at the switch of a flick and switch everything off and cut me off my finances. The trend will have to be, can only be forward, because they need to replace the broken system that we have. The broken system is one where we are so laden with debt. By replacing with the new system, they basically, I think they wiped out everything and start again. It's a clean slate. So our time is running out in the last few seconds. I'll just pass it back to Jesse to close.
Thanks. Yep. So very quickly, belabeling the point. Quantum is in your palm now. The quantum computing power could be in your palm in the very, very, very near future. Now, essentially, whether you're layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3, it doesn't matter, because with quantum computing, you can be hacked, and all it takes are some bad actors or nefarious players who has access to quantum computing, operational quantum computing, that can hack your wealth. Your wealth could be $1 billion now, and the next day it could be nothing. It could be robbed, and that has played all over the world. So rewriting the rules, what Mr. Maltzko is saying, we have the chance to rewrite the rules, along with, of course, the swamp. So we can rewrite the rules at the table. We have a seat at the table because we are at the foxhole. We are on the ground, operational and working already. And already with DNA computing at the back of his mind, already being planned for, quantum computing being planned for. We are standing in very good shape, actually. All right, that's all the time we have. Bindi, last word.
Okay, I think we have to wrap up now. We conclude our news and update for today. We'll be back again 10 a.m. Beijing, 12 noon Sydney next Monday. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
All right, bless the rest. See ya.